Hello students, a very warm welcome to the channel Pandey Ji Ki Pathshala. Guys, sorry I'm too late for uploading the videos. Actually, I am not getting the time from my own studies. But now we will be regular here. So let's start without wasting our time. So today we're going to discuss about Chaucerian most famous work. Its name is the Prologue to Canterbury Tales. Okay. So this chapter is actually a tour. Okay, Chaucer decides to make his tour with his companion interesting, and so he asked everyone to tell a story, any story which is good, and he decided that after listening the story from each and every character, there will be a societal mirror which will depict, which will show what's going in the society according to each and every character's story. So friends, without wasting our time, let's go to the chapter. So firstly, we will go through the introduction. Okay, so the general prologue is the first part of the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. It introduces the frame story in which a group of pilgrims travelling in the shrine of Thomas Becket in Canterbury agree to take part in a story-telling competition and describe the pilgrims themselves. So, through introduction, we got learned that Chaucer with his companion, while going to the shrine of Thomas Becket in the Canterbury Tales, they decided to make the trip so interesting, and then they decided to get story from each and every person, and there were 29 characters actually at the ship while going, but they couldn't collect all the stories. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's learn more about this. So the purpose of this poem is to give readers a general overview of the characters that are present, why they are present there, and what they will be doing. The narrator begins by telling us how it is the season in which people are getting ready to make a pilgrimage. Each character of this tale will tell stories and it will show the social situations of Chaucer's era, so the reader will be aware of all the structure and situation of the era. So now we got learn the purpose of this story. Okay, the purpose of this story is Chaucer decided that while going to the pilgrims, we all will have a story. Okay, we all will share our stories. Chaucer decided that every person will tell 4 stories, 2 while going and 2 while coming, but he couldn't collect all the stories according to the thought, according to Chaucer's thought, it may be 100 plus stories, but by any problem or any condition, he only collected 24 stories. Okay, so we will study about all the pilgrims, all the characters, and which character gave which tale. So now let's go through the chapter and what the chapter says about it. Okay, so friends, before telling you the chapter, before making you understand the chapters and its narrations, let's learn about the narrator. Okay, you know what Chaucer is? Chaucer is not a name, it's a brand. For England, he has done a great contribution. How? Before Chaucer, there were no fixed language of England. Chaucer is the only who gave national language to England, which is English. Before Chaucer, England was influenced by sometimes France, sometimes others, and it has going through the language of other countries as well. So after Chaucer's coming, when Chaucer introduced English and he began on working on literature, he gave a great contribution to English literature and England, that he gave them a national language which is English. Before Chaucer, the Old English was used, which was also not in the correct form. Actually, when you read the books or before Chaucer, you will find the English which you cannot understand easily because its language is in Old English. So friends, we will learn about Chaucer in detail in another video. Now let's go through the chapter. The Canterbury Tales gives a description of the 29 people. These people are pilgrims that are going on a journey to Canterbury. The narrator is describing the pilgrims very skillfully. Which character has which kind of quality, it's described by Chaucer totally skillfully, means what the dressing they have. Each character's dressing sense, each character's own soul characters, everything is described by Chaucer very perfectly. Now He lists them as per their rank. Okay, now we will learn from number 1 to number 29 each and every character, and each one is written by rank, like who is the perfect is on number 1, the second one is on number 2. Same. Thus, it contains a lot of interesting stories which will reveal the character of many pilgrims. In addition, it also tells us what the narrator thinks of them, as the group of pilgrims comprise of different personalities. Clashes happen, and when we see the host struggling to solve them. Like when you are seeing the 29 pilgrims are there, and each character has their own mindset, their own thought. So, according to their thought and their mindset, people are saying, like if the first pilgrim says something criticizing about the other, it will create an issue, and Chaucer is finding difficult to control it, to solve them, but still he come to go through this story. So now the play starts as a tavern outside London. Okay, tavern London. Here starts the play. A group of pilgrims are present there to prepare for their journey to the shrine of St. Thomas Becket in Canterbury. Chaucer is the narrator of the play who meets them there. The host proposes a plan to the group that on the way to Canterbury, each pilgrim must tell 2 tales and then 2 on the return journey. The host will be the judge of the tale, and the best tale will get a free dinner at the tavern when the journey ends. Now, what Chaucer says about the stories, that the best story told by the pilgrims will be the winner, and the pilgrim will have a free dinner after returning from the journey. Now, this excites the pilgrims, and all of them agreed to the proposal. Everybody was happy to have a free dinner, and they all decided to tell their best of the stories. When they begins with the tale, Miller tells a degrading tale about the carpenter. The latter in return gets offended, thus he wipes a tale humiliating the miller. So I told you na, each pilgrim has different character, and if they say about the other, they will have to face from the other. So this happened with the miller and the carpenter while criticizing each other. Now this goes repeating with the host struggle to resolve the conflicts arising continuously. However, it ends only after 24 tales instead of the intended 120. So as per the criticizing of each other, the struggle of the host is increasing, means Chaucer is having more struggle, having more problems, more issues with this, that each one is fighting with each other, criticizing each other. So it's so hard, it was so hard, but still Chaucer made it, and the whole pilgrims last with only 24 stories. It didn't went after 100 plus, it last with only 24. Now finally, it ends with a sermon which the person gives. It is about sin and repentance, and concludes with Chaucer's withdrawal. So, the conclusion, the Canterbury Tales give an overview of the character through the general prologue. It will help further in getting to know the pilgrims in a better manner. So, what is the conclusion of the whole summary? Is the Canterbury Tales is actually showing character of each pilgrim, like every character had their own mindset with their own plans and with their own thought for society, and each pilgrims will show the story with their own societal thought. So this is the profit of getting this story. Now let's have detailed view about each and every character. Now it's time for the characters. So the first character, the first ranked character is Knight. Okay, who is Knight? Knight is a soldier. The knight rides at the front of the procession described in the general prologue. The host clearly admires the knight, his several qualities that the host shows is love, bravery, and fight for truth and humor. He never spoke word to anyone and about anyone at everywhere. The knight travelled and fought at many places, and everywhere he won the war. The places like Alexandria, Prussia, Lithuania, Russia, and Morocco. He was involved in 15 mortal battles and won everywhere. Whatever he did, it was just for the love of Christ. He was a truly gentle knight. He did nothing for the glory. Now His dressing sense was so simple. Since he had a horse also, he was not a rowdy. Now, how the knight is ranked at number 1? You can imagine. See how perfectly Chaucer describes about the knight, that the knight is the brave soldier who is fighting for the truth, for the honor and for the right. And also he is so brave. He have a horse, still he is not rowdy. Means he is not even egoistic person. Okay. Now he have that qualities to win everywhere. As he fought 15 battles, still he was the winner every time. So he is so brave. But you know, the fact about him is, whatever he did, whenever he fought, he always fought for the love of the Jesus Christ. He never fought for he never fought for the kingdom, for the power. He just fought for the love of Jesus Christ, and that's it. Now the second ranked is the squire. Who is the squire? A squire is the son of the knight. Okay, so squire is also a soldier. First Chaucer discuss about the dressing sense, and he discuss about the qualities of squire. Now squire is the son of knight. A squire is the man full of lust and romance. Now you can imagine the character of squire. He just opposes his father. He was participated in the many northern France events with his strength. He also joined once in the cavalry, Handras, Antois and Picardy. He dresses himself well. His dressing sense is awesome, no doubt. In his short service to impress his lady as per his lusty character. Now you get how Chaucer is describing the squire. He is describing that whatever the squire is wearing is to impress the ladies. Means he has so lust in him that he is trying to impress only ladies every day. Character describes him as fresh flowers of the May month, wearing short gown with long white sleeves. He had curly hair, seems like iron, which makes a 20-year fair boy looks good. He was an average height with singing and composing capacity. Now Chaucer describes him that the white lily flower, you know, when the white lily flower grows, it's so white and so attractive after seeing. And Chaucer describes Squire the same, that a 20-year boy wearing a gown and having a fair look and having curly hairs, which shows him so attractive and looks so good. He has also the capacity of singing and composing. Now he was just opposite of knight, means he was just opposite of his father. Now the third character is the yeoman. Okay, the yeoman is the servant of the knight. Okay, so first three characters you can relate: the knight, his son the squire, his servant the yeoman. Now the knight travels with only one servant, yeoman, who looks like Robin Hood. This guy is dressed all in green coat and hood with the bracer on his arm. He has short hair, brown face, wears a Christopher medal and has a hunter's sword. He has peacock arrows and a bow. He also has a sword and a dagger. The yeoman seems like a forester. Now the servant of knight is yeoman, and he looks like a Robin Hood. Robin Hood, you know, the maximum of the detectives and all, wearing overcoat and hat, shoes, boots and all. So he looks like Robin Hood. He is wearing a green hood. He is wearing a green hood, having braces on his arms. Okay, and he has a Christopher medal also. He is carrying a bow with him, a peacock arrows also. He has a sword, you know, that hunting thing. And he looks, after carrying this all, he looks like a forester. Okay, now this is the yeoman. Now the next character is the prioress. Prioress and the nuns are described by Chaucer. She is described as Madame Eglantine, and she shows impassible table manners and soft-hearted ways. She is a large woman with small features who dresses expensively and tends to cry when a small animal is hurt. Yet too willing to feed small animals to her dogs, the prioress is travelling with a nun and two priests. But even though she is a woman of faith, her story seems as evidence of her anti-Semitism. She wears rich clothing, a gorgeous cloak and expensive beads. Her choice of jewelry reveals her secularity too. Her costly collar, beads, bracelets bears the inscription of "Love conquers all." which is a strongly romantic choice for a woman who should be sworn to love only God. The nun enjoys her food too and never lets a single crumb fall. This is how Chaucer describes her. Now about the prioress. Okay, the prioress is traveling with her two nuns, a nun and two priests. Okay, so the prioress is described by Chaucer as a lady. You know, the prioress, the nun is the a lady priest, actually we can say, who is to serve God and to serve the people of God. They serve the children. They are to dress. They have to be dress simple. They have to just serve the people. They are not meant to be wear so expensive things and so fashionable. But here Chaucer describes her, Madame Eglantine, as wearing rich clothes, rich jewelry, having so much qualities, and she is so sentimental that whenever she saw an animal is getting hurt, she cries for that. Means she has sentiments in her, she is good for it, but her dressing sense, her rich accessories and all defines her just opposite as a prioress. Okay, now the next character is the monk. Monk, he is bad and dressed in fur and gold, which tells us that he cares more about what he should be on the outside. His face is smooth and shiny, and his eyes roll in his head. And Chaucer describes them as hot and fiery. He is quiet and fond of good food and drink, including that served at the local tavern. He loved hunting, opposite of a carmonk, and so Chaucer describes him as a fish without water. He kept a valuable horse in his stable. He used to love the swan as his meal. So here a satire of religious figures who are supposed to live a monastic life of deprivation and hard work, living a life of luxury and ease is shown. Now, as we seen the last character about prioress, she is having a lot of luxurious and everything. Now, the same happens with the monk. When Chaucer describes the monk, he says that monk is looking good. Okay, a monk dressing sense is also richly. He is having everything luxurious. Monk means a type of priest. Monk is actually a priest, and the priest is supposed to be the messenger of God to the people, and people to the God. It's not meant to dress so heavy, so rich and having so luxurious life. So here Chaucer satires the monk, that the monk who is the priest is having so much luxury in his life. Okay, Chaucer describes him as the fish without water. You know why? Because the monk likes to hunt. A monk is supposed to save the lives, not to kill the life. But here the monk is hunting and he loved the swan as his meal. I mean, how can a monk be so hard to do this? Just opposite of his character, he is hunting, he is having swan as his favorite meal. Also, he is wearing so rich accessories and clothes, which means he is actually not a monk in the name of a monk. Okay, now the next character is the friar. The friar is described as a well-dressed man who is good at his job in begging for the people in poverty. However, he never gives money to the poor. He keeps it for himself. He is liked by everyone he meets in tavern or in upper class social events. He sings well, but he has a lisp that he uses his advantage. The friar is a ladies' man and corrupts many maidens. Now you can see here the friar is described. Have you seen many types of movies when people say the poor ones begging, they help them to beg and give the money to them. So here the friar also one who is very good at begging for the poor peoples. Okay, he begs in the name of the poor people but never gives that money to the poor. He keeps him with himself only. So he is also a corrupt person. He is a ladies' man, means he is interested in lusty. He is also a lusty character. He is interested in lust and romance. He is also interested in so much in ladies. So he attracts ladies. He beg money and he never give that money to the poor. Okay, so this is the satirical form for the friar's character. Now the next character is the merchant. We know the merchant is the fashion star of the group because he is wearing a cloak of Molly, colorful pattern, a Flemish beaver hat, and he has a folk beard, all of which were current fashions at that time period. Now the merchants is described as the most fashionable in the all pilgrims. Okay, how he is wearing the watch which is so expensive, so colorful. He is wearing a beaver hat. His fashion sense is awesome. The merchant is a very cynical man who has loads of disgust for his distasteful wife. He disgust runs his life. He shows loads of open hatred towards marriage and women altogether. It is common for the merchant to make guests uncomfortable with his relentless ratting. He is categorized as a salesman and trader who import and export wholesale goods from several countries. Merchant, you know, merchant means a person who does business, who import export things, who works as a businessman is the merchant. So here the merchant is a very cynical man. Actually he is a disgusting man. Chaucer describes him as disgusting. Why? He violence with her wife, female, he violence with her wife, and he has a lot of hate for the female and the marriage because he has the problem with his wife. He is so hateful for the marriage and the women's females, and he actually he is good at his business like importing and exporting from other countries. Now the character is the clerk. The clerk is a poor student of philosophy, having spent his money on book and learning rather than on fine clothes. He is threadbare and one that speaks little, but when he does, his words are wise and full of moral virtue. As he carries books wherever he goes. He was from Oxford. He claims that he heard tales from Petrarch. He used to help various records and administer various things. Now the next character is lawyer. The man of law is referred to as the lawyer or the sergeant of the law in some version of this story. He is a smart and wealthy man who is good at his job. He has a law degree but has been appointed as a judge. The man of law was busy but seemed more busy than he really was. He was a middle class man appointed by the king. He dressed in a multicolored coat with a white pin strip belt. He was very knowledgeable in all laws and accurate when talking and practicing them. The next is the franklin. The white-bearded franklin is a wealthy gentleman farmer possessed of lands but not of noble birth. His chief attribute is provision with food, which is so plenteous in his house that his house seemed to snow meat and drink. Franklin was ardent and dutiful, charming, naturally sociable, social and witty. Franklin drew people to him wherever he lived. He was dutiful and affectionate towards his family, but it was to close friends that he most often expressed his ardent devotion. During the course of his long life, he wrote thousands of letters to family and friends, maintaining personal ties both in America and across the Atlantic. The next character is the Guildsman. Actually the character is described so longly in the book. I am just telling you the brief description, but in detail, brief but detail, you will get everything about the characters. Okay, so I am just giving you the descriptions of the characters. Among the pilgrims of Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury tales are 5 guildsmen. Okay, how many guildsmen are there? 5. Now, which were members of organized professional association in the later middle age. Guilds were multifaceted organizations, not only in charge of quality control but of determining who could practice 5 crafts. It's a group of 5 characters. Okay, what is guildsman? A group of 5 characters just that joined together and to have more bargaining power. Okay, 5 characters are here joining together, named as guildsman, who joins together to bargain more and more. Now what are that 5 characters? It's haberdasher, carpenter, weaver, dyer and tapestry maker. Now, the guildsmen were all in livery. They dressed in clothing associated with their trade. Their dressing sense is associated with their trade. The guildsmen are treated as a group and no individual importance is given to them. Chaucer's intention seems to be to satire the self-importance of the guildsmen and their wives, who are addressed as madam and have their trails carried behind them just as the royalty. Chaucer is satiring the guildsmen for giving their wives so much importance and calling them madam, also giving them royalty fame. Now, the next character is the cook. The cook in the Canterbury Tales is described as a good cook who can use spices and prepare sauce. His one negative trait in the general prologue is this description of an open sore of his leg that he has not treated, which could become a health hazard for both of him and his customers. Now, the cook is so good at cooking, but he has a problem, a negative character which has a sore on his leg. Means you can say he has a wound in his leg which is open and it's too much infectious that it can affect him also and his customers also. This is the bad character, or we can say the negative character that Chaucer is describing about the cook. Now, the cook's name is Roger. His name is Roger, and he is described by Chaucer as an indecent fellow. The general prologue, in the general prologue, Roger is shown to be a great cook since he made blendment that rank with the best. Roger drinks a draught of London ale, which means he enjoys alcohol, means the cook is having alcohol also. The cook's greatest achievement was he found new land everywhere and nearly every chart of the Pacific is headed by his name. His running survey of New Zealand, which he completely circumnavigated, causes him to be regarded as the leader and the greatest of that line of surveys that he made the Navy famous. The greatest advantage, the greatest achievement of the cook is he is having land each and everywhere. Wherever he goes, he had the land. Now, the next character is the shipman. In Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, the shipman or the sailor is a wild but good man of the sea. He is described in the prologue as a tough, weathered, bearded man who has conscience about stealing alcoholic drinks or throwing a man overboard in a fight, as well as wearing rough and not worn cloth, a glow to the prices. He also wears a dagger around his neck and underarm. He is also a very tan man, as well he has a good sized beard. The shipman is one of the working middle class. Now, the next character is the physician. The doctor, dressed in his blood red garment slashed with bluish grey lawn with taffeta, means silk. The doctor is a very knowledgeable man during this time, which happens to be medieval England 166 AD to 1485 AD. He read all of the important medical authorities of his day. Not only that, but he is also something of an astrologer, relying upon the positions of the stars and planets, in addition to do more conventional theory of the humors to find a cure for his patients. Means the doctor is appreciable and he is a very good man, very talented and brilliant. The wife of Bath, next character. The wife of Bath's physical description is presented in Chaucer's general prologue as bold was her face, handsome and red in hue. Chaucer also notes that she had gap teeth, set widely and very large hips. The wife of Bath's distinct physical appearance, disgusting her frames, the appearance of most traditional women of her time. Her defined features makes her sexually attractive. Now, Chaucer describes the wife of Bath is her face was so bold and there was gap between her teeth and her hips were so long, means so big. Her dressing sense was also so hot and sexy. It means Chaucer describes her as a sexy pilgrim, or also he shows her as a sexually attractive woman in the tale. Now, her sanguine complexion indicates a good natural gracefulness. The wife has a lot of experience under her belt. She has travelled all over the world on pilgrimage, so Canterbury is a jaunt compared to other journeys she has endured. Not only she has seen many lands, but she has lived with 5 husbands. Okay, why she is called the wife of birth? She has lived with 5 husbands. She is bold. She is sexually attractive. Her dressing sense is sexually, what can we say, affectionate, attracted. Now, she is worldly in both senses of the word. She has seen the world and has experience in the ways in the world, that is, in love and sex. Now, the next character is the parson. Chaucer describes parson as a good man in religion and rich in holy thought and work by poor, by economic, by learning. He is also a clerk. The pastor of a sizable town, he preaches the gospel and make sure to practice what he preaches. He is everything that the monk, the friar and the pardoner are not. Here the parson is a person, actually the parson is one who is so holy, means so pure and religional, as he is much more in priest character than the monk, the nun and the friars, who deserve to be, who supposed to have, were not. But the person is not supposed to have that much holy, but he is holy and so good in religion thoughts. The plowman, next character. The plowman is depicted as the ideal worker in Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury tales. He is genius, industrious and humble, and he follows his faith without complaining. The plowman helps others pay for taxes when they cannot afford them, and he doesn't concern himself with wealth. Means the plowman is wealthy, he has money, he has that much wealth, and he help others. He always help others whenever they are in need. The person who cannot pay taxes, he help them by giving them and never ask them to return. And he never shows his wealth as a egoistic things. He is calm and peaceful and willing to help anyone who needs it. Okay, so he is so helpful to the people, to the poor, to the needing ones. This comes through his appearance, wearing an apron and riding a mare. There is mention that he teaches regularly as well. The plowman is a simple and kind man who lives to serve God and his fellow men. Means the plowman is a man with money, with wealth, who is so helpful and so good to other. He meant here, he is here to serve God and the fellow of the gods, means the God people. Now the next character is the miller. The miller, one of the pilgrims on the trip to Canterbury, is a large brawny man known for his prowess as a wrestler. He is a large brawny man who is a wrestler also. Chaucer says that because of the miller's strength wins when he participates in wrestling matches on festival days. Chaucer defines the miller primarily through his physical strength and size, which mirrors the way his muscles, his ways into conversations and drunkenly intimidates the other pilgrims. Chaucer describes the miller as a man with power, strength and muscles, means he was good in physics. Now the municipal. In general, the municipal appears to be concerned about what others think of him and is a cautious man. He doesn't get drunk and says he will make sure Roger doesn't blab about his petty deceptions, whatever they are. He doesn't gossip and avoids making himself the bearer of bad news. He is in charge of purchasing food and supplies for an institution like a school, monastery and law court. Now the next character is the reeve. The reeve named Oswald in this text in the manager of a large estate who reaped incredible profits for his master himself. He is described in the tales as skinny and bad-tempered and old. His hair is closely cropped, reflecting his social status as a serf. He is shrewd, power-hungry liar. He is very talented in his job and has gained wealth because of it, but he has also learned how to obtain power while lending money to the Lord. He works for to assure that he can gain favors and grow an estate. The next character is the summoner. The summoner brings person accused of violating church law of the court. This summoner is a leprous man whose face is scared by leprosy. Leprosy is a type of disease. He gets drunk frequently, is irritable, and is not qualified for his position. He spots the few words of Latin he knows in an attempt to sound educated. He is not that much educated, but he is showing he knows few words in Latin, and so he is pronouncing it to make people know that yeah, this man is good in Latin. He is a church official who abuses his power to extract bribes of the looks. He is one of the head in the church. Okay, he is official, church official, but he used his power in a negative way. Now, the next is the pardoner. The pardoner writes in the very back of the party in the prologue and is fightingly the most marginalized character in the company. His profession is somewhat dubious. Pardoners afford indulgences or previously written pardons for particular sins to people who repent of the sin they had committed along with receiving the indulgence. The penitent would make a donation to the church by giving money to the pardoner. Eventually, this charitable donation became a necessary part of receiving an indulgence paid by the church to offer this indulgence. The pardoner was not supposed to pocket the penitent's charitable donations. The pardoner, as possessing big bulging eyes and having a voice like a go. So friends, here we ends with the character. So we read about all the 29 characters here. Okay, now in the Canterbury Tales, each character tells their own story, and 25 characters tells tell one single story. So we got total 24 characters, 24 stories. That's the end of the Canterbury Tales, the best and the famous work of Geoffrey Chaucer. So friends, if you want the Hindi version of this epic, you can text us on Telegram or Instagram, or also you can comment in the comment section. We will have the Hindi class for it also. Thank you for watching the videos. Share it and don't forget to subscribe the channel. You will get many more videos like that. And also if you want any chapter descriptions, if you want help, you can text, you can comment. Thank you.